What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rawstocks. This is Rustic. We're going to be taking a look at some charts today. We're going to look at SMC, QQQ, SPY, NVDA, Meta, Apple. Before we get going, you can see on the screen here, we got a picture of the Discord. If you guys don't remember, it's free to join. Rawstocks Discord. There is a premium upgrade if you want the callouts. This is an image of the callouts. And you can see that we had an NVIDIA trade today that went off pretty well. Oftentimes with those callouts, you get screenshots of trade setups. Try to give you the open and the close. Don't always give you the close, but they're nonetheless they're trade ideas. Try to give a stop loss and try to give a take profit area on many of those trades. So if you're not a member, again, don't forget to join. The link's going to be in the description below, as well as the link to upgrade to premium. Now let's go ahead and jump into the charts. First thing I want to cover is SMCI, and on SMCI, I did enter a short position. We talked about this in the video yesterday. Talked about going up into this breaker block, getting to consequent encroachment. I entered the position a little bit early. I entered as we took that 1 hour candle into the breaker block. We did end up going right up to consequent encroachment, and we found rejection at resistance in that breaker block. So just like I have drawn out here, we were looking for price to pull up there. Now I'm looking for price to come back down, looking for 819, 717, or even potentially 614. Those are a couple weeks out on those SMCI contracts. So I do have some time, and definitely SMCI moves fast, rapidly, and you can get down or up very quickly. So trade at your own risk if you're trading this, but it did definitely get to where I anticipated we were going to go. We'll see if we can catch a move down, get some nice profit on those callouts. Again, we're using fib levels for that. We've taken the high to low, came back, optimal trade entry. We did extend all the way down to the 62%. Now we're popping back up again into that breaker block, looking for symmetrical swing at least of 819, potentially the full extension of 2 standard deviations down to 614. But who knows how quickly that'll happen. So we'll definitely be watching this stock as it moves fast, and a lot of profit can be made on that. Now we'll jump over to QQQ on the 1 hour chart. We do have that bullish fair value gap that we're watching. We also had fib levels back to kind of our golden zone, not quite all the way to the perfect optimal trade entry, but we did hit that 61.8 or 62% fib level, and then we saw price come back down, deliver below 0 down to the 20, right below the 27% extension. Then we saw price pop back up, and we've seen one displacement candle, and then price rallied a little bit. So I am looking for the Qs also to come down into this bullish fair value gap, and maybe see our 62% extension or our symmetrical swing. And that would bring price down somewhere in between 442 and 439. And then from there, I expect that we would probably see rallying back up to new highs. But, you never know. This could be the bottom. We could start to look at a potential of a inverted head and shoulders setting up. So if you go left shoulder, head, maybe we push up and get a right shoulder, and then we end up taking a new high. There's a potential that's going to set up. So if that did, we'd be looking for rejection again, back up at 447.42. And then a right shoulder to form as we came back down. Maybe this was the right shoulder, and part of the neckline. Definitely not as symmetrical as we'd want it to look. But maybe we come back down, we set a right shoulder again on that fib level there, and then see us push up to a new high. Totally possible. So we will be watching to see if that plays out. This long rejection wick, though, I do anticipate we're going to see price draw back down into that before we either head higher or head lower. There is definitely nice liquidity pool there. Not much up here as far as liquidity goes. And so there's definitely orders that want to be filled here. So look for price to come back down. I'm thinking maybe even tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, Thursday. We jump over to SPY. SPY also had that displacement candle on Monday. And then we saw price just kind of plug back up. And then now we are looking for price to potentially deliver down into this fair value gap as as well. You don't have a rejection wick on SPY like you did on Qs. If you look at Qs again, we had that big wick from open, basically the 9 a.m. Candle, where we saw price run up. On SPY, if you look at the 9 a.m. candle, right, we did have a little bit of a wick, but it did not set a new low. Qs came down and set that low. So definitely we've been talking about Qs being weaker than SPY lately. And so you can see that same thing today. Qs were weaker than SPY. SPY saw that rally. And then this was like the 3 p.m. So kind of near the end of the day sell off. And then into after hours, we've seen price push back up. There's going to be a fair value gap there. So I would be looking to see if that inverts or if it holds for tomorrow. So let's label that out. Bearish fair value gap. You saw in the after hours, we pushed up into it. So this is a displacement candle. All along this move down, we've seen bearish displacement, and then we've seen minor rallies, right? The minor rallies are often taking us up into bearish fair value gaps and then selling off again. So we've pulled up into this bearish fair value gap again. I'd be looking for price to dump down potentially into this bullish fair value gap. Again, 518.81. Consequent encroachment coming in at 517.47, and then below that 516.17. So see if we get that pullback right into there, and then again I'd be expecting SPY to push back up towards all-time highs. We're still looking at 530 as 530, somewhere between 530, 535 to be the next target before we potentially see a more meaningful correction. Jump over to NVDA. I'm long in NVDA right now. We got a bullish order block here. We got the all-time high here. We see bullish fair value gaps that are holding. Although we did get a displacement candle down, we also are seeing displacement candles up. And this is very common in, stocks that have high liquidity and high volatility, is that you can't rely on just displacement candles because you get them in both directions. So here we made a nice move up in the morning, right? We came back down. We tested that fair value gap. We rallied back up. We saw some selling. Now we're starting to push up again, but we're still holding that fair value gap. If we start closing below that and we invert it below 945.89, give or take, would be looking to close that long position and then potentially open a short position to target this bullish fair value gap here, and then potentially drop even lower down to some of the liquidity in this kind of consolidation range. So tightly monitoring the NVIDIA, also one that moves fast, also one that you can end up significantly under. We were long, we wrote it up. There was, it was up a couple $100 on the trade. Now it's still up, but not as much. I got a nice entry down here in the fair value gap somewhere. And so, still positive on the trade, but would be looking again for price to push up towards that 967 and then 974. Then ultimately above that, we're looking for that 1,000. But we need to break through this key level of 974 first. Jump over to Meta. Meta is kind of stuck in between two fair value gaps. We got a bullish one that seems to be holding as prices faded down into it. We also have a bearish fair value gap above on the 1 hour chart that is offered resistance. So we're outside of that. We're trading down. We'll see if this closes or not. I'm not in any Meta trades right now. But if this holds, we could see price spring back up, try to take out the liquidity here at 515, close out this fair value gap, and then target the 523.73. We'll just have to wait and see what happens here. I want to see one of these fair value gaps get taken out, and then you could look to continue to ride the trend in that direction. If we do take out this bullish fair value gap, I'd be looking to short. There's another fair value gap down here, and then there's liquidity that rests in this wick down in this order block. Be looking for that to come back down, see if it tests that level. Now again, if we push up through this fair value gap, it's a pretty big one, but you could look to try to take a trade that would take you to 523.56. Jumping over to Apple. Apple's the last one we're going to look at. We got this breaker. We traded up to it today into close. We're looking at this breaker to see if we could potentially expect price to reject in that breaker block. So far, so good, right? Took it right up to the very top of it, rejected, sold off, didn't do much in after hours. So on this, looking for price to, on Apple, looking for price to come down to 166.79, take a new low. This is a large fair value gap. Weren't even able to get back up into it, not the consequent encroachment, not even back into it on this ride up. and then like I said, we got that breaker block. So definitely looking for price to push up or continue to push down. If it breaks up through this breaker block, then I'd be looking for price to come up into the 175 range. But right now, since it took some lows, definitely looking for price to continue down on Apple. That's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully this has been helpful. Don't forget to smash a like, subscribe, share with all your friends. We'll see you guys in the trading room tomorrow.